Hello, my name is David Orozco. I'm the wellness consultant, and we're going to be talking today about quitting smoking, or the way I like to call it is becoming a non-smoker. So the premise of this program is a little different. Instead of going cold turkey, what we're going to do is something called a warm chicken approach. Okay? So cold turkey means you slice it off and you're done. You pick a date and that's the last time you smoke, you throw everything out. We're going to be doing some of that, but we're going to warm up to it and then quit. Okay? The concept though, what's important to understand for this entire program is that on the day that you quit, you will no longer have any more cigarettes for the rest of your life. And at that time, you become a non-smoker. You don't become an ex-smoker, you don't become a quitter, you become a non-smoker. Now, why do you think I say that more importantly? Why do you think that's so important?
It probably does not sound as negative.
Perfect, exactly. Right, go ahead.
Yeah, quitter sounds
Right.
negative.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. When you realize that your focus is on something negative, that actually brings up more negative connotations to it. So what we want to do is focus on becoming a non-smoker. Here's the other thing that's really important. Once you start realizing that you are a non-smoker, there's an enormous power in self-belief, because it's all about vision. So if you see yourself as a non-smoker, the power of commitment is strongest. Okay? Here's the important thing. Let me have you look at it the other way around. If we were to say, on this day you become an ex-smoker, you then always see yourself as something you were. You see what I'm saying?
True.
So now you're always connecting something to what you are now to something in the past. As opposed to saying I'm a non-smoker. I'm a non-smoker. I've never smoked in my life, but I'm a non-smoker. So what we want to do is focus on becoming or being a non-smoker. Okay, good. The second part of this, which is what I'm going to lead to into the reasons why we smoke. The second part of this, or the second important element of this program, is to commit to new coping mechanisms. Okay, I think I heard you say in conversation a little while ago that it's a stress relief, right? Yes, smoking is your buddy. It's been your companion for so many years. It's the go-to when something happens, right? Okay, good. So what we're going to do is learn ways of coping or changing that idea, okay?
Okay.
So, can you think of the 3 reasons why people are hooked to smoking?
Stress.
Okay, good. Stress.
Habit.
Habit. Ooh, very good. And what about the chemical part to it? What would you call that? Why would that hook you?
I don't know.
Nicotine, what is it?
It's
If you use it a lot and you can't stop doing
a
it.
drug, you mean?
It's addictive.
Addictive.
All right,
Okay.
so addiction,
Okay.
habit, and emotional or psychological. Okay? Those are the 3 reasons why we're hooked to smoking.
Okay.
All right? So think about what you said a little while ago, stress. Stress is a mechanism is an outcome of a certain circumstance. Now, stress can be both positive and negative. Okay? Let me give you an example. When you have a celebration and you see family, you start saying, oh, hello, you get a promotion, I'm so excited. Well, your blood pressure goes up. You have a stressful or a stress type of release. Cortisol picks up, your adrenaline picks up, your heart rate picks up, you're all excited, okay? It's a different kind, it's positive, but it's still a release, right? Okay. And I say that because that's the reason, or one of the reasons why people will go out to smoke, because I'm excited, I'm going to go out with friends, I'm going to have a good time, I'm going to have a party, so you're having a good time. It's a sort of relief from the stress, so to speak. Again, it's your companion, right? So therein lies the psychological. I just mentioned a couple of them, Okay, one is it's a connection to a group of people, so you feel belonging. Because when you smoke, you connect to other people who smoke, and you can feel their feelings of relief of stress when you smoke. Okay? The smoking actually, the nicotine, the addictive part to it, actually does relieve stress a little bit. It is addicting because it connects to receptors in your brain that release serotonin type chemicals, or serotonin type chemicals that make you feel good, like dopamine. Okay? So when you smoke, you kind of get this relaxation feeling. You also get this feel-good kind of feeling. Do you ever remember when you first smoked? You kind of get a little bit of a high?
Yeah, it's almost like a high.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
Yeah.
high, right. Okay, so what tends to happen is that feeling immediately feels good, and then what comes after that is that relaxation and release. So smokers call it going out for breath, or getting a breath of fresh air, or catching a breath, or going for a smoke, okay? So one of the things that's really important is that the addictive part of it is leading strongly to the psychological. Because then you get that chemical feeling of feeling good and relaxation and stress, so then it therefore becomes a way of dealing with the stress, and that's how it's closely related to the psychological or the stress component, okay? As well as the emotional and social, you know. People are going out to smoke, you want to do it too, you therefore belong, and therefore the nicotine makes you feel good, and then you're around other people, so you'd have stronger connections over time. And you do this over time, over and over and over and over, and then that's the third component. It becomes a habit, right? So how long have you been smoking? I actually don't say it out loud. Let's say you've been smoking for 20 years. Well, that means if you smoke, let's say, or used to smoke a pack a day for 20 years, that's well over a few million cigarettes in 20 years. If you do anything a few million times, it becomes a habit, okay? So let me tell you something that's very interesting. Nicotine and habit are very strong, but here's the kicker. They're also very stupid.
Okay.
Okay? So nicotine is a strong connection, addiction, but it's also a very stupid addiction.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay. Why?
Because smoking is stupid.
Right, sure.
I mean, we all know that.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
But you're still addicted to it.
Yeah.
Right. That's why it's strong,
okay.
but it's stupid.
Yes.
And it's the strong part that keeps you connected. So what we're actually going to do is diminish the strength by working on being smarter.
Okay.
Okay? Again, another positive spin on something that's negative.
Okay.
Okay. Habit is the exact same thing. It's strong, but it's stupid. Okay?
Okay.
You don't.
Well, I don't totally agree with you there.
It's okay. It's all right. That's right. But it is, believe it or not, and I'll tell you why. Habit is strong because when you do it over time, it is part of you. It is something that when you jump in the car, you light a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
That's habit.
Right.
Okay? Of course, you're connected to the nicotine and addicted. And by getting in the car, you're relieving the stress from all the work and stress that you had in the day. So, however, something, for example, so simple like when you get in the car and you've become a non-smoker and you're now a non-smoker, what you end up doing is, and here's the important part of this program, we throw everything at being stronger by changing the stupidity. Okay?
Okay.
So what we do becomes smarter, in other words, is we have water on our hands. I always keep a bottle of water, and I tell people who have become non-smokers that when they throw out, on their quit date, throw out the pack of cigarettes, they have a bottle of water almost everywhere. Okay?
Okay.
Why do you think a bottle of water is important?
It replaces
Good.
the smoking, the cigarette.
Why? Why?
Because it's habit. You're going to reach out. You need to hook yourself into another habit.
Good, good. All right, so
Right?
there's more to it. There's a lot more to it. That's
Yeah.
interesting, and we don't even realize it. Okay, number one, we're reaching for something that hydrates us, rehydrates us. number one. Number two, we're putting hand to mouth. Ah.
Yes.
Okay, so we're replacing that. You see how stupid hand to mouth is? That by just changing one simple thing, you're replacing that, okay? Three, you're getting water in. And did you ever try smoking and drinking water at the same time?
You can't.
Exactly.
You
It
cannot.
tastes horrible, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yes, exactly. Water and cigarettes don't mix. It's like oil and water.
But you end up having to go to the bathroom all the time.
Yes,
so.
you do. So that's not the only thing. It's okay. That's not the only thing that we're going to use, okay? That's one of the things. The other things that we use is gum.
Gum gives me a headache. Doesn't work.
regular gum. Okay, good. I want you to think of things that you have tried in the past. Right. And this is why it's so important not to work on diet at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay? Or trying to lose weight at the same time. Because it is too difficult to bring in two monsters like that and to try to convert them into teddy bears.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So that's why what we're doing is we're becoming smarter than a stupid connection. Okay?
Okay.
Right. And this is the whole coping mechanisms that we're going to use. We're going to throw a whole bunch of things at it. Okay? So I had you fill out a form, and in this form, I ask you a couple of questions. For example, on an average day, how many cigarettes do you smoke? Okay? I don't want you to say it out loud. Okay? I want you to keep it on the form. And every question that I ask, I don't want you to say out loud. I am going to use examples only. Okay? I also want you to tell me the exact name of the brand of cigarettes that we use, because the whole warm chicken approach, you're going to also find it's pretty interesting. I also want to know what your situation is around smoking, okay? How early is the first cigarette that you smoke, okay? I'm giving you a journal to fill out, and I want you to bring it in next week, okay? So this journal will help me help you a little bit more, see where we can focus a little bit more on the coping. Okay?
Okay.
Now let me give you a couple of examples, okay? Some of the people that I work with maybe smoke a pack a day. Some people smoke more than that. Some people smoke a lot less than that. Some people smoke about a half a pack a day. Some people smoke maybe a little less than that, okay? Doesn't matter. What's important is the approach that we're going to take is dependent on how much you do smoke. So it's important for you to know. So let's say you smoke more than a half a pack a day or up to a pack a day. If you smoke more than a half a pack a day, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the nicotine as much as possible. So we are going to use something that's called nicotine replacement therapies. Okay? Like the patch, the Nicorette gums or nicotine-based gums, the lozenges that you put in your mouth, or at the same time, medication if your doctor is willing to prescribe it for you. Okay.
I do have a prescription.
For Chantix or Wellbutrin?
Wellbutrin.
Okay. So you can use either of the two. If Wellbutrin or Zyban or bupropion, which is about the same kind, if that has worked well for you, then you can use that. If you want to use Chantix, you can use Chantix as well. But it's up to your doctor to determine what you and he think you should do. Okay. So with that,
we can introduce that into the program then.
Yes,
Okay.
right away.
All right.
Okay. So let me talk to you first about the other non-drug therapies, and then I'll talk to you about the drug therapies. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a warm-up approach to a quit date. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace nicotine from cigarettes to the actual chemical itself. And the reason is that there are over 20 different types, there are 20 different chemicals inside cigarettes. A lot of it is from the fertilizers they use in the tobacco leaf, some of it is from the ground, some of it is the way the leaf absorbs things out of the ground. So there's a lot of chemicals in tobacco that are found. But you know, people that smoke for over 20 or 30 years, when they've done blood tests on them, they actually find things like radioactive type chemicals in them.
Oh my.
Yes, and that's from the fertilizer that they use in the tobacco leaves. Okay, it's naturally found in there. And it's the same kind of radioisotopes they use for nuclear fission. Fusion. Yeah. Okay. So those are the reasons why we're switching from the nicotine in the cigarettes to an actual just nicotine alone. So the patches and the gums, the lozenges, actually are all nicotine. Okay, but what we're doing is we're taking a step down approach. You know, I've ever seen that commercial where you see the guy stepping down? Okay, that's what we're doing. Is we're getting you to reduce the amount of nicotine that your body desires. Okay, without the use of cigarette, and then we're doing the other things in the class to help you with the habit and hand to mouth and so on and so forth. Okay? So with the patch, if you smoke more than 11 or 12 cigarettes a day, half a pack or more, what you want to do is you want to start on a patch right away. Okay? It's a 3-step program. Okay? If you've ever seen the patch, it comes in 21, 14, and 7 milligram dosages. What we want to do is if you're smoking a pack a day or more than a half a pack a day, you want to go ahead and get right on the 21 milligram patch and start using it right now. So what I tell people is tomorrow morning, when you start the patch, you put the patch on, leave it on all day long, and you're doing that through the next 2 weeks. If you don't want to use the patch, okay, then you can focus on just the brand switching. The brand switching is the actual physical way through cigarettes to reduce the amount of nicotine that you take in. Okay? And I'm going to show you in a guide later on what that brand switching is. Okay? Okay. So you're going to take, that's why I have in this questionnaire, I want you to tell me what brand of cigarettes you smoke, because then we can look at how many grams or milligrams of nicotine is in the cigarette, and we switch to the next level. And then 2 weeks from now, you switch again, and then on your quit date, you're down to the lowest nicotine level of cigarettes. Okay? That's the warm chicken approach through the cigarettes. Okay. Okay? If you smoke less than a half a pack a day, you switch immediately to the lowest level of nicotine, which is 0.2 milligrams of nicotine. Okay? So if you're smoking, let's say, Marlboro Reds, and now you know that cigarettes come in colors versus the old-fashioned lights, ultralights, menthols, and stuff like that. So let's say you're smoking Marlboro Reds. Okay? Well, Marlboro Reds is a full-flavored, high-nicotine cigarette. Okay? Not the highest, but high nicotine. I think it's about 1.5 milligrams per cigarette. Okay? Don't worry about it. You don't have to write this down. It's in the book and the guide that I'm going to give you. Okay? All right. So then we're going to go from there to about half the level, 0.8 milligrams. And then from there, we're going to go into 0.2 milligrams. All the while, you're going to be using the patch. Okay? Again, if you smoke a pack a day or more, you start with the patch right away. Okay? You start the brand switching. If you smoke 11 or less cigarettes, 10 or less cigarettes a day, then you do not start the patch. You only brand switch to the lowest 0.2 milligram cigarettes that you can find. Okay? And I'm going to show you where those are.
So you're saying the amount of nicotine...
I'm matching the amount of nicotine with the patch and the lower amount of nicotine in the next type of cigarette over time. Okay? But the actual focus is I want you to get the nicotine only from the patch. And then once you stop your quit date, okay, from there on, you're going to start progressing down the nicotine patch levels. Like I said, there's 21 milligrams, there's 14, and then there's 7. All right? So for the next 2 to 6 weeks after or on your quit date, while you're a non-smoker, the next 2 to 6 weeks, you determine whether you want to switch down to 14 milligrams. Generally speaking, the 21 milligrams should last about 2 weeks more. Okay? Sometimes people have kept it up to 6 weeks. So that's why I say it's really dependent on the individual. Sometimes that much nicotine is a little too much because you're not smoking anymore. Okay? Now with the patch, you can rotate it. You can put it on your arm, you can put it on the back, You can put it on your, waist, on your butt. It's up to you. If it does irritate, then we can talk about using something else. But tonight, after work, I want you to go to a drugstore and get yourself the first kit of a nicotine patch. Okay? The kit comes in 21 milligrams.
You don't need a prescription anymore?
You can, and here's the thing that you might want to talk to your insurance about. If you get a prescription for nicotine patches, insurance might cover it. Okay? But I think the box of patches is somewhere around $8 to $15. They've gone down considerably in price. So it may not be worth it to get a prescription. Up to you.
Okay.
PVD will reimburse you half your cost.
Okay, so PVD will reimburse half your cost. That's right,
So
because it's
bring
part of
your
the
receipt.
wellness, right? Yeah.
So, okay, if I have Wellbutrin,
Right.
what
Good.
What
so
do I do?
This is all right. So if you don't want to use the patch or the gums and lodges in it,
It's not so much don't,
but you have the prescription. Here's what you do.
I have my choice. So
You have your choice. If you're going to use the medication, okay, what we're going to do is on the tomorrow morning, you're going to throw out all the cigarettes that you
Oh my God.
normally smoke, correct? And you're going to buy the new kind, which is half the milligrams less. And I'm going to show you on the guide what that may be. Okay? So you find half the milligram dosage of cigarettes, and you smoke them normally, like you would normally smoke. And this is whether you're using the patch or you're not using the patch. You would smoke the new lower nicotine level cigarettes like you would normally do. If you smoke 12 or you smoke 20 a day, you smoke 20 a day of the new nicotine. But what that's doing is it's bringing the amount of nicotine down already.
basically, yeah.
Because it's already
Okay.
half the amount of nicotine.
Yeah, but now you're saying nicotine is the only reason why I'm smoking now.
Right, exactly. But so during this program, we are going to work on the hook, hand to mouth, and those other things. I am not neglecting those other things. Okay, that's why we need to work on all three. Okay. So if you have the medication on the second week, next Thursday when we do this class again, you take the medication. That's when you start taking the medication. Medication should be started about a week before your quit date.
Okay.
Okay? And continues after your quit date as you're a non-smoker. It is up to you and your doctor to determine when you can get off of it. It's a psychotropic drug, or it's an antipsychotropic drug, so you do want to make sure you know its side effects. Side effects can be pretty severe. You can have really severe dreams or nightmares. You can have depression. You can have tendencies to overeat. Wellbutrin can actually cause you to undereat. It could also decrease appetite, so it could do both. And there's also the tendency of thoughts of suicide. If you have these, you definitely want to let your doctor know. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you use the medication. You brand switch for the first week. You start on the medication the second week. You brand switch again
To lower
to
the
the
nicotine.
lowest nicotine level.
Okay.
Using the medication. On your quit date, you quit completely. You will probably notice in the next 2 weeks that you're going to not want to smoke what you would normally smoke because of the added the medication.
Okay.
All right? It's going to take the urge away.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Now, I did say that we're going to... So that's what you do with the NRTs, the nicotine replacement therapies. Okay? You determine right now with me at the end of the session what you want to do. All right? If you want to do the patch, if you want to do the medication, or depending on how much you smoke, we determine what to do there.
Okay.
Okay? The next part is to work on the hook and habit. Okay? The hook and habit, like I said, is strong but stupid. So we want to throw as many different things on it as we can. All right. I'm going to show you some tool that I have that will help make you put your hand to mouth and hate it.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yes. Okay? So you associate. What happens here is that you associate something that you used to like to something that you don't like anymore. And what that does is it shifts the thinking pattern or the way your body associates that method of doing things to something that you don't like anymore. So it takes the feel-good part of it out. Again, that's the strength of knowledge or being smarter.
Okay.
Okay. I mentioned water. I want you to use water probably mostly where you take a break. Okay? So if you're going to go out and say you take your 15-minute break and you go smoke, take your water with you. Now remember, these habits or these new tricks, coping mechanisms, if you would, that we're going to use is to be used when you become a non-smoker.
So these should be new
Not
things?
used during the first 2 weeks,
Oh, okay.
during the warm chicken approach.
So if I'm drinking water right now, I shouldn't be using water.
You smoke when you're supposed to smoke.
Okay.
During the next 2 weeks. Okay? Alright. So water, when you become a non-smoker, water, gum, as I mentioned a little while ago, use gum to melt. The one that I want you to try is the fake cigarette. There's a fake cigarette that I'm going to give you, okay? And the cigarette pulls out, I'm going to show it to you. The fake cigarette is plastic, alright? So it pulls out and there's a little hole in it, okay, that lets the air in. So it lets the air in through the make-believe filter.
Okay.
So watch what happens. I can breathe in.
Okay.
Alright, so if I'm smoking, the association is still there. I'm getting air in. So what we want to do is we want to start tightening that hole. So I'm bringing it to half. I have to breathe in harder to get the same amount of air. That was just so easy to get with the last one, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that this is hard, okay? So it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a cigarette. A cigarette you could smush, you play with the filter, okay? So there's a difference in the feeling too.
Okay.
So the textile difference is important too, okay? Then you close it completely. It bothers people so much that you can't suck air out of this, that you connect the bad feeling of not being able to get that breath that you want from your cigarette. So the connection is bad. And then it doesn't feel the same in your fingers anymore. Okay? Alright?
Okay.
So this is a simple little trick. That's why I said the habit is stupid. This is a stupid little trick that outsmarts that. Now, I'm not saying it's the only thing, but this is something that helps.
Okay.
Okay? Alright. Okay. So I think we've come to the end of this part so far. Okay? I want you to finish completing your questionnaire. Okay? And then next week, I want you to bring back your tobacco journal. Yeah, it's 2 pages, front and back.
Okay.
Okay? And I want you to bring back your tobacco journal. Okay? I've got one last part for you to do. I said a little while ago that there's 3 components to being hooked. The third one, which is psychological, also has a social component. Remember I said that? You go out with your friends, or there's a certain group of people, or you go to the same bar, or you go to the same restaurants that people smoke at, or people in your family do it. You go to the same place in the back of your house, or whatever. Okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you a little support form. Okay? And I want you to put on here who you're going to give it to. Dear so-and-so, as you know, blank has decided to break free, dear David Orozco, that'd be me. As you know, someone has decided to break free from cigarettes. Your support will make a big difference. Here are 8 ways that you can help. So I want you to find someone that will be non-critical, that you can get support from. It may be a coworker, it may be someone in your family, it may be a non-smoker, it may be someone who has had smoking in their past who is now a non-smoker. Okay?
Okay.
And then I'm going to give this to them. Okay? And then this one here is their commitment to me that they're going to help you. So you get them to sign and give it back to me.
Okay.
All right?
Does this have to be somebody I'm physically in contact with?
No.
Okay. So
Someone you can go to. It will be better.
Oh.
Yes, it will be better to be someone physical
Okay.
that you have nearby, because they're usually there around you on a regular basis. But what's more important is you find somebody that can support you who's non-critical.
I think that's a good thing.
Okay, good. Okay?
Okay.
Questions? Okay.